Silence speaks louder than words. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but silence, pure, unbroken silence can sometimes say even more. Imagine sitting across from a friend after a heated argument. No insults are exchanged, no apologies offered, yet the heavy silence between you conveys anger, regret, or longing more powerfully than a flood of speech ever could. Silence is not emptiness, it is a language of its own, subtle yet piercing, soft yet commanding. In our noisy world, where everyone wants to be heard, silence has become rare, and the rarity makes it powerful. It can express emotions words often fail to capture. Think of the silence at a funeral. No one needs to shout grief from rooftops because the quiet atmosphere itself carries sorrow. Think of the silence after a heartfelt confession of love. Sometimes no words are enough, only a deep gaze and a quiet smile. Silence, when used wisely, doesn't weaken communication, it deepens it. There's a reason why silence is often described as golden. Words can be impulsive, careless, and destructive, but silence is deliberate. It forces thought before reaction. In arguments, silence can stop a fight from escalating. In leadership, silence can command more respect than speeches. Great leaders, thinkers, and spiritual masters often embrace silence, not as a weakness, but as a tool of strength. Mahatma Gandhi, for instance, observed days of silence to reflect, recharge, and communicate non-verbally with himself and others. Silence also speaks in relationships. Sometimes a lover's silence signals hurt. Sometimes it signals comfort, the ease of not needing words. Parents often understand their children's silence more deeply than their chatter. Even strangers share silent connections, to passengers on a train exchanging smiles without uttering a sound, or a crowd standing in silence for a cause. Such moments remind us that communication transcends speech. But silence isn't always positive. It can be sharp, punishing, or manipulative. The silent treatment can wound more than angry words. It can also reflect fear or oppression when people remain quiet in the face of injustice. Thus, silence has two faces: it can heal or hurt, empower or suppress, depending on intent. The challenge lies in knowing when to speak and when to let silence carry the message. In a way, silence teaches us to listen. Words often distract, but silence encourages observation of people, of nature, of oneself. In silence, we hear our heartbeat, our thoughts, and truths we often ignore in noise. It is in silence that artists find inspiration, writers find clarity, and ordinary people discover peace. So, does silence really speak louder than words? Absolutely. Words may impress, but silence imprints. Words may echo, but silence resonates. The next time you're lost for words, don't panic, let silence take the stage. Sometimes the quietest moments shout the loudest truths.